Hey, I'm back. A lot of changes in my life. Uh, I'll just fill you in a little bit. I'm going to be covering some records first of all. So this is going to be the vinyl showdown. I guess I'm just going to be like talking about some vinyl records that I have in my collection, why they're good, the pressing, stuff like that. But anyway, I moved from New York to Seattle, Washington. Pandemic probably has a lot mostly to do with it. So now I'm in Ballard, Seattle, Washington for the time. So this could be for a while. It's a gorgeous day. Anyway, we're going to be talking about vinyl. Um, and so I'm going to be just going through some records of my collection and sharing my thoughts about them. So without further ado, let's get started. The first record that I want to show is Julia Holter. Julia Holter is a woman out of Los Angeles. She's a composer. This is a really great record, really eclectic. It's really kind of almost like cinematic in style. So yeah, there's great lyrics, but they're not like narrative really lyrics. There's really interesting instrumentation. So Julia, she studied at Cal Arts in Los Angeles. So she is a schooled musician, so she understands, you know, notation, music theory, orchestration. From my understanding, she was just planning to be an academic kind of musician, but she was creating works for ensembles at Cal Arts, and so you see this reflected here. She's got many records titling back to 2017. This one came out 2015. So you're going to hear string quartet on this. You're going to hear upright bass. You're going to hear drums. You're going to hear some keyboards. Some of the highlight tracks are, Feel You, Silhouette, with kind of polyrhythms, interesting breakdown. So she doesn't follow like a formula of like verse, chorus, she's not really writing with the intent of that kind of commercial intent, although this stuff is really pleasing to the ear. She's a great singer. Some of the songs kind of are reminiscent of Nico, so sometimes she sings in kind of a baritone kind of voice. But just here, we got multiple percussionists on this record. We have saxophone, clarinet. So she's taken some of that the classical instrumentation style and brought it to her own song. So she's not by any means just kind of an indie band kind of with guitar. In fact, there is no guitar on this record. So this is not indie rock, but I would definitely call it indie, but it's great. Sleeves got the lyrics as well as multiple pictures. I really admire her. She seems to be the type of artist that really is not looking to appeal to the gallery, so to speak. She's doing her own thing, and the audience is coming to her. I really dig it. Vinyl itself, let's see. It's good. It's like a medium. It's not like a 180 gram, but it's just your kind of new, record. It's really good. Nothing fancy about the artwork here, but the music is really enjoyable. So I highly recommend that you go to your Spotify account or even YouTube. I'm sure it's streaming, and there's probably multiple interviews to kind of get her insights about her work. But she's a true artist in my mind, so definitely check her out. Let's go on here. Same kind of color. Different record. Both female artists. PJ Harvey, Rid of Me. This is a spectacular record that was just recently reissued, so I made that purchase. PJ Harvey out of the southern area of England. So she kind of grew up on a farm. Her parents really influenced her with some great music when she was growing up. A lot of Howlin' Wolf and blues records. And of course, Captain Beefheart is a notable influence that she mentions quite frequently. So this is her second record that came out in '93, I believe. If I can, not even, the art is so sparse on this. Let's just see real quick. I think, yeah. Let's see, Polly Jean Harvey. Go using the old Wikipedia here. So Rid of Me. Yes, 1993. So this comes after her debut, Dry, which is great, killer. But so basically she was working as a three-piece band. So now she's kind of known as PJ Harvey. She's a solo artist, but at this time, PJ Harvey was kind of more of a three-piece band with more collaboration between the members. So it was PJ Harvey, Robert Ellis on drums, and Stephen Vaughn. So basically just a fucking power trio. You might see from this artwork here, this is the opposite of Julia Holter's record. This is just guitar, bass, and drums, and it is visceral. Also produced, or Steve Albini does not like that title as a producer, but he was the recording engineer for this record. So you're gonna get some of that Steve Albini type of production, like that. Some people either love it, I love it, but it's certainly a unique ambient kind of drum sound. Vocals probably not as forward in the mix, but holy cow, dynamic range is huge on this. So this opening track, Rid of Me, starts with this pulsating kind of rhythm on the guitar as Rob Ellis is on the drum kit, kind of doing a light rhythmic figure on the snare, but it's not loud. And so you might, as you play this record, you're like, oh, this is kind of quiet. So you put up the volume on your stereo, and then bam. I mean, talk about quiet, loud, quiet, like that kind of Pixies thing. But this is to the nth degree. So there's this very kind of bluesy guitar that PJ plays on this with slide. The lyrical themes are very much about a kind of codependent type of love affair or attitude towards relationships. Rid of Me is kind of about that. You're not rid of me. So you can kind of almost in a theatrical way imagine a male figure character trying to escape this relationship, and the protagonist or our female voice here is saying, nah, you ain't rid of me. Mist is great. Man Size, just great. There's a cover of Bob Dylan's Highway 61 Revisited. Man Size Sextet. So Man Size appears on side 2 as a rock song with the ensemble, but it's Man Size Sextet is the same number but with a string quartet arrangement, and it's very much in the vein of like a Kronos quartet. So we're not talking about a Mozart type of interpretation of the song here. We're talking about a very contemporary 20th century approach to classical music with this. So lots of shrills and percussive elements that are being played by the string quartet. Anyway, this is a must-have record in my point of view. This is probably one of the best rock records of the 90s, so listen to it. The vinyl, let's see. That's 180 gram. That's a thick record. It's a sturdy record. I'm not gonna try. I probably got some fingerprints on this. But anyway, check that one out. It's killer, literally. It will blow your mind. All right. Next one here is, let me cue up my next artist here. I'm going to talk about the Velvet Underground and this album right here, the Velvet Underground Loaded. So most people are really familiar with that, the Andy Warhol album, the album with the banana on it. Great, that's a great album. But this album, I mean, I pretty much think all the records in their catalog are fantastic. If you love rock and roll music, you know, in my mind, you cannot escape the Velvet Underground's influence on every band. I mean, I think it's been said that, you know, the Velvet Underground didn't sell a lot of records, but for every record that they sold, that person that bought that record formed a band. So you'll hear mentions of these guys from REM. You know, obviously they're from the New York scene, so just influenced a lot of people. So, you know, if you listen to Belle and Sebastian, you can hear that Velvet Underground influence. So this record came out in 1970, so there was quite a bit of action from the Velvet Underground from their debut, the Velvet Underground in Nico. This came out in 70, and this is the last record in which Lou Reed appears before his departure. So this is Doug Yule, Sterling Morrison, and Mo Tucker is the lineup here. So great. So this is definitely more of that rock and roll that Lou Reed in the 70s kind of evolved into, but the guitars are still not super crunchy, just really catchy songs. They're doing, you know, some really beautiful vocals on this. So they're really harmonizing. The production is not as gritty as that debut. But anyway, this is a fantastic record, and the Cotillion label. This is another, sure, just it's not the 180, but this is just your standard vinyl, but it sounds great. Highly recommend this for any collector. And this next record that I'm here to show you. Oops, if I can get this back in. It's going in. Bam. Next record. Blarf. Now this is called Cease and Desist. I have not even opened this record, but the reason why is that I can stream it online, and you might be asking, why, Colin, don't you open this? Well, this is, and maybe there's some speculation, but really the internet knows that this is Eric Andre, the comedian. Now, if you don't follow Eric Andre, he's a very out there type of comedian with a lot of physical comedy. So a lot of, you know, he's kind of one of those guys that's not afraid to get himself scuffed up and in order to get his comedy across. But a lot of people don't know this about Eric Andre, is that he went to the Berklee College of Music as a bass major and then abruptly left that career trajectory as a musician behind to pursue comedy. He moved to New York City and lived on park benches and tried to work on his craft until he eventually got his own show. But this is a great record. I mean, it's really like noise. It's like almost like a mixtape. Like basically he's taking stuff like Save It Babe is like, taken from Fire from Jimi Hendrix. This is obviously not a record that is trying to get itself commercial attention and trying to appeal to a wide audience. There's a track here called I Worship Satan that is 12 minutes long. It's taken a jab at corporate. This is McDonald's slash Burger King kind of logo for his name. So, and as you can see, this is a photo of Michael Jackson. And then he says, this is brought to you by Pepsi. But again, to bring it back to why I've not opened this, is that the value of this record, I think this came out in 2017 or 18, already has gotten to be a pretty reasonable value on this record because there was a limited pressing of it. So on Discogs, you're going to see this retail for around $100. So I'm hanging on to it not opened. I still enjoy streaming it and listening to the music. I hope Eric Andre puts out more music like this, or does whatever he wants. I'm really kind of curious to see. Maybe he's going to have the opportunity to really showcase his musicianship and play the bass, and so it'd be interesting to see that. Anyway, this is another great band, The Pretenders. This is Pretenders 2. So this is the lineup with Martin Chambers, who is the drummer, James Honeyman Scott, and James Farndon, and of course, Chrissie Hynde. This record came out, I believe, in 1983. Yes. But anyway, so the debut of The Pretenders gets a lot of attention, but this record still has this original lineup, which is the most fantastic lineup I believe there was, and it would have been really interesting to see what they would have continued to do as a band. However, Chrissie Hynde did just fine. After this record, basically these guys both died of drug overdoses. So a real shame to see that these guys passed before they could see how this band would really evolve and mature. But this really differentiates itself from the debut. There's still a lot of visceral punk energy on the debut, but this has got The Adulteress and Bad Boys Get Spanked, which are really kind of in your face, kind of punk rock, Chrissie Hynde just getting in your face. But then you've got some beautiful songs like Message of Love, I Go to Sleep, Talk of the Town. It's just great, just great songs. This particular thing I picked up used at the record store, and I'm not sure, this is probably like a bootleg, because this is a Portuguese press, but this is like the flimsiest record ever. So I might be looking for another copy of this, but this still kills when I put it on the turntable. Check it out. I mean, James Honeyman Scott's guitar work is incredible. There's an insert here, very old school, that shows here, the credits of the musicians, and shows these guys just being fucking cool, cigarette smoking, walking, playing guitar. Just a great band. Oh, there's more. You can just do like this. It's a full out spread. Shows them in the automobile right here. Anyway, get those the first two records are essential Pretenders records. Learning to Crawl, still amazing. Chrissie Hynde's an incredible songwriter. Anyway, let me know how you feel about these records below, and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications about when I post a new video. But I'm going to be doing a lot of these record videos. I'm still going to bring it back to some other kind of music stuff related. But, you know, for now I'm going to be doing these vinyl showcased kind of videos. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. I hope everybody's doing great and surviving the lockdown, and we'll talk soon. See ya.